God is not silent. You are the one ignoring the answer. You pray every day. You ask. You insist. You wait, and nothing seems to happen. And deep down, a thought begins to consume you. God is simply not hearing me. But that is not true. And what you are about to discover can change everything. The calling, the illusion of silence. God is not silent. You are the one not tuning into the frequency of the answer. You pray every day, asking with intensity, insisting, waiting. But when heaven feels like bronze, doubt begins to rise. God is not hearing me. That is a lie of fear. The truth is that God's answer rarely comes in an obvious way. It doesn't always arrive as a spectacular event. It often comes disguised. Sometimes as a job opportunity. Sometimes as an inner discomfort. Sometimes as a closed door. As it is written, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts." Isaiah 55, 8-9. You ask for the fruit, but God gives you the seed and the soil. If you reject the process, you will believe there was no answer. But there is a spiritual conflict happening every day, and almost no one notices. The garden of the mind and the hidden. Answer. Your mind is like a garden. If you plant prayers, but cultivate fear, doubt, and distraction, the answer cannot grow. Real life example. Patricia was tired of praying and seeing no change. Every day she repeated the same prayer. She asked for a financial breakthrough, for an opportunity, for a clear sign that her life would change. But life always looked the same. The bills kept coming. The feeling of stagnation remained, and her faith began to grow quieter. Until one ordinary afternoon, she received a message on her phone. It was a simple proposal, a small online project, something that required effort, learning, and consistency. It was not glamorous. It didn't look like the big breakthrough, but it was something different, a real chance to start. Patricia looked at it, read it twice, and sighed. Not now, I'm too tired. This looks too hard. And she ignored it. At that moment, she didn't realize she was rejecting exactly what she had been praying for. Weeks passed. Nothing changed until one day she saw that same idea again, but now through someone else, improved, more structured, with greater potential. Something very similar to what she had ignored before. This time, something inside her felt uneasy. She remembered her prayer. She remembered her request, and most importantly, she remembered the no she had given. Patricia decided to try. She started small, made mistakes, learned slowly, had days of doubt, but she kept going. 1 month became 2. 2 became 6, and what once looked too simple to be God's answer began to grow. A year later, Patricia had a stable income, the freedom to work from home, and a completely new mindset about effort and discipline. One ordinary day, looking at everything she had built, she finally understood. The answer had not come as an instant miracle. It had come disguised as work, and she had almost ignored it. She smiled quietly and said, God was not silent. He was just giving me the beginning of my answer. And this time, she stopped ignoring everything. Charles was someone who liked control. When he prayed for direction from God, he truly wanted guidance. But deep down, he wanted more than direction. He wanted guarantees. If it's God's will, let everything be clear. If it's right, let there be no risk. If I should act, let me be 100% certain of the outcome. But life rarely works that way. One day, Charles felt a strong desire to change careers. Something inside him pointed toward a new path, a different opportunity that could open bigger doors than he had before. He prayed, and he felt peace. But that peace did not come with full confirmation. no complete details, no total safety. And that stopped him. He began overthinking, overanalyzing, waiting too long. Every option seemed promising, but risky, and doubt grew. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What if I lose what I already have? Meanwhile, the opportunity was still there, waiting for a decision, until one day he realized something uncomfortable. He wasn't waiting for direction anymore. He was waiting for zero risk, and that doesn't exist in faith. He remembered how many times he had prayed for a clear sign, but what he really wanted was a guarantee before obeying. But faith never worked like that. Faith has always been a step before certainty. So he made a different decision. Even without all the answers, he chose to act on what he already understood. Not driven by emotion, not perfection, but obedience to what made sense at that moment. The beginning was uncertain. He still felt fear, still had doubts, still questioned himself. But something started to change. Doors slowly began to open. New connections appeared. Unexpected opportunities emerged. And most importantly, he began to grow internally. One day, looking back, Charles realized something he had never understood before. If he had waited for guarantees, he might never have left his place. And he finally understood. Faith is not the certainty of results. Faith is the courage to take the next step without seeing the whole path. He took a deep breath and said, "Now I understand. God didn't show me everything before I moved. He only asked me to trust enough to start walking. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for." Hebrews 11:1. You were conditioned to expect obvious answers, but God rarely responds that way. Why do you reject the answer? You ask for change, but reject the form it comes in. Florence Scovel. Shin taught that many people block their blessings because they try to control the how. You want path A, but God works through path B. Rick Warren observed that God doesn't only change circumstances, he changes the person first. The strategic mind shift. Stop asking, "Why isn't God answering me?" and start asking, "What am I ignoring that might already be the answer?" Because maybe the closed door, the delay, the discomfort, the unexpected change are exactly the answer. And this is exactly the moment when most people give up. The mistake that is holding you back. You are not without an answer. You are rejecting the answer because it didn't come in the format you expected. God answers through processes, not just events. Faith requires action before certainty. Discomfort can be disguised direction. Silence may be protection, not absence. If this message has blessed you, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone you love, and tell me in the comments which city you are watching from. I read every comment, and I will pray for you. If this message touched you in any way, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe, share it with someone who needs it today, and write below where you are watching from. I read every comment, and I will be praying for your life. And if you keep ignoring this, you will keep praying and staying in the same place. But if you see it, everything changes.